Okay. Hello, my name is Angelica Crisell, and this is my project for Grinders Cafe, a student space that is a coffee shop. Did it share? Okay. So the problem that I wanted to solve within Lake County is that there isn't a proper space for students to study within the area. I have found that in any place like Starbucks or Panera, they're normally full and none of them cater to every single student. So there's always that student that likes complete silence when they study, or that student that likes white noise in the background, or obviously that group of students that have a project to do. And there's just not that place in Lake County for students where studying is encouraged and there's a place for productivity to happen. So my solution was a coffee shop catered specifically to students. Now what makes it different is that there are 3 floors and each floor has a designated noise level, one with complete silence, one with average noise, and one with as much noise as you want, obviously still being respectful and appropriate to others, and also features to promote productivity and studying. I got this idea when I toured Penn State University last summer. There was a library on campus with the same layout of each floor having a designated noise level, and I thought that was just extremely smart and convenient for students. So I really wanted that space in Lake County for all the high school and college students in the area. So I came up with the idea, and obviously when you're studying, you need energy and a lot of the time also caffeine. So I figured I would combine it with the coffee shop. So obviously my target market is students. This includes any student in the area, not just Riverside. So Mentor and Harvey and college students that go to Lakeland or Lake Erie College. I did a little bit of research and I found the student populations of each school. I excluded students in middle school because they don't have their license, so I figured that they just shouldn't be counted in my entire student population. I chose these schools obviously because they're in Lake County, but they're closest to my ideal location, which is Mentor Avenue for the business, because that's just like the main strip of Mentor where every store you need is there. So my total market is approximately 13,000 students, which is a lot of people. There is some overlap because of CCP students from high school attending Lake Erie and Lakeland, but even if you were to cut that number in half, it's still a very large number. So my competition in the area is Starbucks, Panera, and Dunkin' Donuts. Starbucks doesn't cater to students, it's just to everyone, but it has this really small space and the inside is actually very chaotic. So is the parking lot. Panera, there's only one room for group meetings, and I cannot stress how many times I went there with the group and we had to go somewhere else. Dunkin' Donuts, it's not a studying area at all. It pretty much just provides coffee. And one place that I just wanted to mention, obviously, is the library. It's not competition necessarily because they don't sell anything, but obviously you have to be quiet in a library. So if you wanted to have like a group work and everything, you can't really go there and like just talk as loud as you want to. So the fun stuff. The business structure that I chose for this company is an LLC, which is a limited liability company. This is going to sound very serious and formal, but it's a business structure that combines the pass-through taxation of partnerships or sole proprietorships with the limited liability of a corporation. Sounds very confusing, but basically there are 3 main types of companies: partnerships, just 2 people; sole proprietorships, 1 person; and a corporation, multitude of owners. And it's kind of combining the best of those business structures in one. This is becoming extremely popular now and is also recommended for small family-owned businesses, which mine would be, not a chain restaurant or anything like that. Benefits, So limited liability basically means the person who owns the business does not, it's not held liable. So like your personal assets, such as like your car, your savings account, won't be harmed. If you face bankruptcy or any lawsuits, you won't be personally held accountable for it. Um, some other benefits include taxation. It's the taxation system for it is extremely easy, and also you are taxed less. You don't have to pay an annual report or annual fee. In Ohio specifically, you can avoid the double taxation of C corporations. And it's honestly just a lot easier than a normal corporation. It's a lot less records and a lot less requirements and an easy management system. I happened to be in a business class this semester, which was very beneficial to me. So I kind of knew what I was doing more so than other people would have been. So nothing is perfect. There are a couple of drawbacks. So even though some taxes are removed, you do have to pay a higher self-employment tax than corporations. And also Ohio's commercial activity tax does apply to LLCs, but not to sole proprietorships or partnerships. And you also have a bit more difficulty raising money because you can't issue stock. Although those are drawbacks, I think the fact that as the owner having less personal responsibility that you face is a lot more worth it than the drawbacks that this includes. So for funding, I really wanted to figure out the expenses, but everything was so hypothetical and there were honestly a lot of just unsure numbers. I wasn't really able to figure out the math. The only thing that I can tell you pretty much is that it takes a company on average about 2 to 3 years to even make a profit. Here are several ways that you can fund a business when you're starting out. So bootstrapping is basically using your own resources that you start out with and your own time, your own work, your own money without outside help pretty much. A small business administration loan or bank loans are very popular. So SBA loans are pretty much from a private bank and the SBA is the guarantor of the loan. So they absorb some of the risk, which is nice. And bank loans are simple. You get a loan from the bank as long as you have the requirements though for a small business loan. And then lastly, venture capital or angel investors. So for venture capital, you have to submit a plan and they will review it. If they're interested, they provide the startup money, which is normally over $100,000 in exchange for an equity stake in the company, meaning they will get profit money. And for angel investors, it's a private investor. It's honestly not as common in my opinion and but they do have considerable amounts of money to invest in businesses. So this is the menu that I came up with. This actually took quite a lot of time because I wasn't sure what to include and what not to include, but I do want to figure out the pricing of it all. So mainly I just included items that are universal for all coffee shops. So just a list of coffees and then obviously some options if students don't necessarily drink caffeine. And then I did also want to include food, obviously for energy and stuff, and all of them are safe bets. I compared menus from all of my competitors actually. So Starbucks mainly, Panera, and also 1922 Coffee and Brew, which is a small business located in Painesville. But I really liked that small business and I thought their menu was very well thought out. So I used that for inspiration. I wanted to obviously make it pricey as a business owner. But I wanted to make it affordable because I'm also a student and I do realize that we don't really have a disposable income to just spend freely like we want. So this was the happy medium of it all, and I think it came out pretty well. So promotions within a business are basically all of the techniques that sellers use to inform people about their products and also motivate them to buy their products or services. So my ideas for this business, obviously number one being social media. Create an Instagram account or a Facebook page, spread the word about the business, or post specials once the business does open. Since my target market is students, advertising in schools with flyers or even making announcements would be very beneficial. And something that was a little bit outside of the box was the pricing. So costs were obviously adjusted to suit students. They were made cheaper than Starbucks so that people will be more motivated to buy my product. But along with this, I made the difference in prices between small, medium, and large drink smaller. If you increase the prices between the drink sizes, then customers don't really notice. So I don't know if I said that correctly. I don't think I did, but that's okay. So when I'm at Starbucks, for example, if there's only like a 20-cent difference in between two sizes, I normally size up. And so basically, if it's a small difference in between pricing, people will normally size up. And I mean, the main point is that they spend more money. These are the floor plans. The first one on the left is the first floor, in the middle is the second floor, and on the right-hand side is the third floor. Although these don't really give many dimensions, through the app, the software that I use, you can actually go over the walls and find out the dimensions of everything. Now, it might take a minute to load. So while it's loading, I will explain. It didn't exactly go as planned. I wanted the noise levels of each floor to go in order. So from, silence to the most loud, or, oh, here we go, the loudest to complete silence, but it didn't exactly work like that. So this is it. 1 second. Okay. So let's do it like this. So the first floor has the least amount of space for students because I had to include obviously a kitchen and the bathroom area, which is only located on the first floor. But so the issue with the layout was basically that you couldn't have a completely silent floor on the first floor because of how much chaos goes on with ordering and the kitchen area. You also couldn't, I didn't want to make it the group floor because of the fact that there's not a lot of space. So basically, this is the average noise floor. It looks like your average coffee shop. I included, low tables, high tables, kind of a comfier area with a couch. Pretty much anything that I would look for if I were studying somewhere. On every floor also is a printer and a cork board for like postings for students, if anyone needed to be like tutored or anything, or for like job postings or anything like that, pretty much. But this is pretty much it. And then I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this, but it is also available on the floor plans. You can kind of see it. There are circles inside of the elevator and on the left-hand side bathroom, and those are basically just to show that they are handicap accessible and they're big enough for like wheelchairs and stuff, which I did work into the floor plan. The next floor is going to be the group area. So for inspiration, I pretty much took ideas from Lakeland's library. So they kind of have this room basically where there's a whole bunch of group areas that are separated by whiteboard walls, which I didn't want to include in this, but that wasn't necessarily an option. So they were just made glass, but I still think it turned out completely fine. And there's also a more kind of lounge area, a printer, which also doubles as a copier and everything, and holds a lot of seating for students. There is an area in the corner right in front of the elevator because I figured that students who, or anyone who worked at the business pretty much, there would have to be someone on each floor just to make sure that like students weren't messing around, because even though we're all adults, it still happens. So this was pretty much the third floor of it. a lot of it pretty much was just taken from Lakeland's design or inspired by Lakeland's design. And then the last floor, completely silent. Pretty much just designed towards one person coming in by themselves, pretty much. I wasn't exactly sure how to design this floor without making it look like such a classroom, but there are kind of separate tables that face out towards this glass wall, which is kind of similar to Starbucks setup. All the high tables were actually inspired by Chipotle. I kind of like high tables for some reason, especially when studying, so I wanted to include them. And then if you wanted a little bit more privacy, I did incorporate some kind of smaller like cubicle areas. And again, the right hand two like cubicle areas have circles in them for wheelchairs, and they are handicap accessible. And then there is kind of just a reading nook in the corner over here. There's also a closet. It's not really important, but on every single floor pretty much, just for like storage and everything. But yeah, and all of these are available to view. I did make it public, if anyone's interested. But that's pretty much my design. And then any questions for the future of this? Obviously, I would need a little bit more advice from professionals who have started businesses themselves, which I did want to get in the beginning, but due to all the businesses closing, it kind of made it difficult. I want to work over this over the summer actually and try to figure out expenses and see if it's doable, because even though I'm graduating, I think it would be very beneficial for the students that are younger than me. My email is 20krcala@riversideschools.net for any questions. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to present my idea to you. It was really fun.